Coming up on Tech News Today, Apple Maps loses whole towns. Also, new MakerBot takes Manhattan, and why Google thinks Android is only a third done. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Thursday, September 20th, 2012. It's my 9th wedding anniversary, so I have to hold this up. Tech News Today is brought to you by Carbonite Online Backup. Automatic, continual, and unlimited backup for your computer files for only $59 a year. Try it free at Carbonite.com and use offer code TNT and get 2 bonus months with purchase. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your iPhone, iPad, MacBook, or Android smartphones. Find out what your gadget is worth and get cash to upgrade to the latest iPhone at Gazelle.com. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
Go, Nicole.
I'm Nicole Lee.
Yeah, there we go. I'm Jason Howell.
And the reason that Nicole didn't know she was going to introduce herself, she didn't know she was going to be reading the news feed because we didn't know that Sarah Lane was going to have a flat tire. But we will be getting her on the phone from the tire shop for the discussion.
Working on it.
But
For
before
live
that,
coverage.
Let's do the top 10 stories of the day in the news feed. MakerBot Industries announced the Replicator 2 for sale today for $2,199. New version of the Replicator features 100 micron layer resolution for smooth curves and an expansive 410 cubic inch build volume. An expert version, the Replicator 2X, features dual extruders, among other things, and sells for $2,799. MakerBot also announced they're opening a retail store on Mulberry Street in Manhattan.
Well, that didn't take long. Apple's new Map app replaced the Google-powered version with the upgrade to iOS 6 yesterday, and already its deficiencies are being highlighted online. Problems include missing towns, towns in the wrong place, cloud-obscured satellite images, and more.
But it loads faster.
Yes.
HP unveiled a slew of new desktops and notebooks coming in October with the launch of Windows 8. We're going to spotlight a few right here. On the desktop, say hello to the HP Envy Phoenix H9 with an armor-plated design, and the internals are supposed to make it a little easier to swap out components. On the notebook front, HP also introduced a couple of sleek books. Those are thin and light notebooks that don't fit the Ultrabook category. HP also announced that owners of the 11-inch Pavilion DM1 can get an HSPA Plus radio for their notebooks and get 200 megabytes of data per month for free for 2 years on the T-Mobile network.
Samsung said it would add the iPhone 5 to a list of products accused of violating its patents, according to Reuters, citing U.S. court documents. Samsung and Apple are fighting several court cases in 10 countries. Tired of all these patent issues? Well, you can join the fight. A change in patent law went into effect this month, allowing third parties who think a patent application is flimsy or invalid due to previous art or obviousness to file evidence and comments to the USPTO. Starting this morning, you can go to patents.stackexchange.com to weigh in.
Netgear unveiled an all-new lineup of streaming media players today, including the Neo TV for $50, the Neo TV Pro for $60, and Neo TV Max for $70 beginning today. The 3 devices add more content sources and HTML5 support, along with a redesigned push-to-TV media streamer for sending content from a mobile device and laptops to your TV.
Oh, forget about Netgear. Roku has some details about the streaming stick. First introduced at CES 2012, the MHL device plugs directly into your television. It's going to run about $100 and it's going to ship in October. For the most part, the streaming stick is a miniaturized version of the Roku 2 XS, but it has double the internal storage at 512 megabytes. The remote uses Wi-Fi Direct instead of Bluetooth. Roku also announced a new version of its mobile app that allows you to stream your photos and music to your Roku box.
And no hockey fans, it was MHL, not NHL. Your strike is still on. On Wednesday, Sophos warned its customers that a false positive was being delivered by its security product, detecting a threat called Shh Updater B. False positive happens sometimes, and Sophos was quick to fix it. The awful part for Sophos was that Updater B was its own binary for auto updates, so the software couldn't fix itself because it kept detecting itself as a threat. Sophos has since fixed the problem.
The IHS iSupply analysts think iOS 6 could be a huge money maker for Apple. The company estimates a 70% rise in App Store sales to $4.9 billion this year, partly because of the introduction of Passbook and the recently maligned Maps app. iSupply cites the fact that Apple is moving from virtual services into real-world location and financial transaction features as the main reason for the optimism.
Anyone who watches Hulu has seen the disturbing "It Can Wait" ads warning against the dangers of texting while driving. AT&T Chairman and Chief Executive Randall L. Stevenson is getting attention for his efforts to increase awareness of the campaign. On September 30th, AT&T will offer a free version of its Drive Mode app for Android and BlackBerry phones that automatically disables texting when the phone is traveling more than 25 miles an hour.
Everybody be cool. Microsoft says it's fixed the latest Internet Explorer
I
flaws.
thought you were going to say it was a robbery.
No, it's not going to be a robbery today. Windows users can get the update on Friday, and it should plug up a couple of recently discovered zero-day exploits that affect IE 6, 7, 8, and 9. If you want peace of mind right now, Microsoft has also issued a stopgap solution called Microsoft Fix-It that takes care of a recently found memory corruption issue, which could lead to the installation of a Trojan. Fix-It is available for download today.
Any of you fix-it bugs move, and I'll execute every last one of you. Let's take a break and thank our sponsor for today's show, Carbonite.com. Now, you might run into a virus problem, whether it's a antivirus trying to delete itself or not. It could cause problems with your computer. You want to be backed up just in case of disaster, and that's why you need a service like Carbonite Online Backup. Ask yourself this question. Are your computer files backed up right now? Are they backed up automatically and continually and kept safely off-site, away from crashes and fire and hurricanes and theft? You know, to really be protected, you need that online backup. Carbonite gives your files automatic and continual backup. They're stored safely off-site, and after you have some kind of computer disaster, it's easy to restore them. Plus, you can access your backed up files privately on any computer, even on your smartphone or your iPad with the free app. It's a nice little side effect of doing the right thing and backing up your data. Unlimited backup for your PC or Mac is not expensive either. It's only $59 a year. Try it free. Go to Carbonite.com. That's right, I said free. It's only $59 a year, but you can try it for absolutely nothing at Carbonite.com. Enter the offer code TNT, and you'll get 2 bonus months free if you decide to buy with offer code TNT. Be sure to sign up for the free trial from the homepage to get the 2 months free. You don't need to give them a credit card to try it out, so go do it right now. Carbonite.com, offer code TNT. We thank Carbonite for their support of Tech News Today. Do we have
I believe we do.
Ms. Lane at the Big O Tires shop in Corte Madera, California?
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how's it
Yeah,
going?
the video's a little frozen, but that's okay. We can hear you.
Sorry about your
good.
tire.
I'm glad. Yeah, so I had a little blowout on the way to work this morning. I am hanging out at, it's not a Big O Tires, it's some really nice independent store. They happened to be extremely busy this morning, so I wasn't able to get in and out in 5 minutes. So
That's because they threw nails all over the highway to bring in all this business. No.
How could they? Well, it worked, and here I am. But thank goodness for AT&T LTE. I'm connecting to you via my iPad, which is at 97% battery.
Now, were you able to use Apple Maps to find the tire shop, or had it disappeared like all of the towns that we hear of in the UK?
You know, amazingly enough, I was lucky enough to not even get that far. I was on hold with AAA when a tow truck who says he's part of the Highway Patrol free towing service rolled up behind me and changed my tire for free. He wouldn't even take a tip.
Oh, wow,
So-
Nice.
I know. I mean, he was my savior. So anyway, that's the update on me. How's everybody?
Well, we're good.
We're seated.
Big thanks to the California Highway Patrol. We're going to start off with the story about the Apple Maps. We'll go ahead and since you probably don't have the doc easily available, have
Well, I actually do have it in
Okay.
front of me, but if my connection is weird, someone else can take the details. Certainly.
your audio is great. We just see a lovely still of your face.
It was moving up until
Now-
the point we took your video, of course, and then it froze.
Now hold on a second. If I do this,
Oh,
do I
yeah.
start moving again?
Oh, hello.
Yeah, now you're
Hey.
moving.
Okay, so what happened was when I switched over to Safari, where I've got docs open,
It froze it.
my video freezes.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So we go ahead and have Iyaz deliver some of the notes, and then I know you've been thinking about this story though, so we'll have you carry on.
Sure,
from
I'll
there.
just spit this off rapid fire. Well, as fast as I talk, right? In June, we learned Apple was going to drop Google Maps, and they're going data from TomTom, OpenStreetMaps, and others. The Map app has been out for 1 day. People are ticked. There are lots of different notes. There's lots of different fun articles out there. BBC is noticing that towns in Scotland are obscured by clouds. If you look for the Manchester United Football Club, it directs users to Sale United Football Club, the community team for ages 5 and above. It's not exactly the same
Help
thing.
the kids out.
Unless maybe Apple's against football there. Macworld searched for Eiffel Tower. It was in France, but searching for Notre Dame while looking at a Paris map tried to send the person to Indiana.
Where the University of Notre Dame is.
Of course, makes lots of sense. And Ireland's Minister for Justice says a farm called Airfield is listed as an airport, saying it's dangerous to pilots and locals. Clearly, the designation is not
Please
only
don't
wrong.
land on my farm.
Well, yeah, this could be a real problem. But there is a way to correct these mistakes. If you find them, you can swipe in the app, the page curl, and then tap the small report a problem link above the print button, and then you can correct it. There's a Tumblr right now showing the differences between the old maps and the new maps, and these are just like hilarious at this point. I believe one on a Gizmodo article, there's one where there's a bridge pretty much missing. The question is, did Bane arrive here?
There's some real weird, like a road that seems to lead down straight down to the bottom of a canyon, just because the photo has been sort of messed up.
It wasn't mapped properly.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't laid properly. So this is Apple's first attempt. Now they're powered by TomTom, which says, "Hey, we're just the foundation. The user experience is all Apple." So a little finger pointing going on. What do you think, Sarah? I mean, is this are these just isolated incidents and bugs in a new program, or is there a real problem here?
Well, I think that Apple's well aware that they rolled out a version of Maps that is not currently competitive with Google Maps. I think Apple's well aware of that. They don't think that it's perfect. And yeah, as a user, I can report bugs and problems here and there, and their data will get better. But I mean, as Iyaz mentioned, the context data, such as already looking at a map of Paris and searching for the Notre Dame and getting sent to a college in Indiana, that's going to take some time for a database like that to actually get up to snuff. My question is, okay, Google hasn't really said one way or another whether they're interested in rolling out an iOS app. They actually have put out a statement that was very vague saying, yeah, we want to have Google Maps available on as many OSs and devices as possible, without saying, yes, we're working specifically on an iOS app. Now, they could, I suppose, if they really want to look as superior as possible, not roll out an iOS app, and then all of a sudden Android devices look a lot better. But you can still access Google Maps via the mobile site. And that, you know, if you search, if you access that on Safari, and then you give yourself a little bookmark, which you can do with any website on iOS, it doesn't work exactly the same, but you have some of the same functionality. So it's not as if Google withholding an app is really going to screw over anybody entirely. I think that I'd love to know what Apple's thinking is behind this. You know, do they have the next couple months of people working furiously behind the scenes to the point where they think, you know, people are going to complain and then the complaints are going to go away because we're going to get better really quickly? Or are they just in such a war with Google that they decided, oh, well, users suffer in the short term because we won't work with them anymore?
Yeah, I'm showing the on the video version. I'm showing the Google Maps in Safari, which I've had bookmarked on my homepage for quite a long time, and so you can still get that experience. But I have to say, it's a little bit weird, a little bit laggy. I constantly have to reauthorize the storage space that it uses. But so compared to the actual native Maps app in the past, I would never use it, but maybe now I will. Although on my phone, turn-by-turn directions are going to work on the Apple map. So.
One of our listeners, Bill, wrote in, and he was very irritated that Apple took out directions for public transit. He says, as a blind individual, I do not drive anywhere. I relied on Google Maps with its ability to route me from my current location to anywhere else by public transit or by foot. So a lot of app makers right now are filling in that gap.
I have to say, like that was probably one of my main concerns with the new maps, was the lack of public transit maps. At the same time, though, the public transit directions on Google Maps wasn't that great, really, to begin with. But at least it was there, I guess, was the only consolation. But now it gives a chance for third-party makers to really step up, to really improve their game. There are a bunch of different options out there. My only problem is that it's not so intuitive. You can just launch maps, and it'll be there. You just have to like think about, oh, there's a third-party app that I have to use. You know?
Yeah, and famously, you can't change the default links. So if you click on a map link and iOS. It's going to launch the Apple Map app.
Yeah.
Can't change that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the new MakerBot Replicator 2. We mentioned it in the news fuse. 100 micron resolution layers. They showed a fully printed owl in their video today that just looked like a toy. It looked exactly like a toy. You're able to do really smooth printing here. You're only gonna spend $2,199. That may sound like a lot of money, but think about that compared to what a desktop computer cost you back in the 90s. And we're talking about 3D printing really kind of coming out of the Heathkit stage here, right? There's no assembly required. You buy this thing, you plug it in, you start using it. It's not meant for experts. There is a version meant for experts that has double extruders and a few other features. That one's a little more expensive. But this is meant to look good, go on your desk, and be able to print out prototypes, print out toys. They have a whole manifesto by Brie Pettis up trying to say, like, you can now go where no one has gone before. This is going to unleash 3D printing on the world. It can print in the background now, thanks to their new Makerware software. You can set the print quality from the software. You can open multiple STL or OBJ files at once. And the Miracle Grew algorithm, they promise, will be 20 times faster. Now, all of this sounds great, right? It's the beautiful world of MakerBot. We love MakerBot, love Brie Pettis, but there's controversy brewing because it appears, and MakerBot has not confirmed this, that this is the first MakerBot product not to be open source hardware. And a lot of people who have contributed to Thingiverse, which is MakerBot's community for people to share their printing designs and software, feel like their hard work in helping to improve the MakerBots is now being sort of stolen. If in fact this is closed source, there's a very well-known maker, Josef Prusa in Czechoslovakia, who says he called MakerBot support and they told him, yes, in fact, the new MakerBot 2 is closed source. We haven't got confirmation of that from MakerBot though. So there's already something called Occupy Thingiverse being organized to protest that the hardware is not open sourced, and a lot of people are removing their designs from Thingiverse because of this. It'd be interesting to see how MakerBot deals with this, because Brie and the folks there have been very positive and promotional of using open source and open hardware to spread the love with 3D printing.
But for the most part, for the end user, this person who wants to buy this, they're not going to notice any big issues, right? They'll be able to just take a file, print out whatever they want. But the thing is that there might not be as many things to print out because of this whole closed source aspect. Yeah,
I mean, there'll be the idea is that you're going to create your own things to print out, right? You're not necessarily going to go to Thingiverse for everything, but yeah, if this protest caught on, it could reduce the number of options. I think most people aren't going to pay any attention, though. Most people who are getting into this version of Replicator and not getting into the entire ecosystem, they've been maybe wanting a 3D printer for a long time, but didn't have the time to invest in building it themselves or really getting up to speed on the nuances. And so they've been waiting for a more user-friendly version.
And just speaking from a consumer's perspective, like, this looks amazing. I think we've seen the first MakerBot before, and while I was very impressed with it, I did notice like a few jagged edges. It wasn't great. And this really promises that smooth finish that we all dream of, printing three-dimensional images. And I think, open source or not is definitely a valid concern, especially if you're a new maker and you just want to just mess around with like open source projects. But from a consumer perspective, I think it's a really awesome thing that you can make really nice, smooth fit and finish is going to be there. I think it's a great move forward, personally.
I believe that they have the right to make it closed source in the right way, as long as they're not taking open source material and not leaving it open source. I mean, there are Red Hat Linux versions that you can purchase, and there are definitely proprietary versions of Linux that leave the open source things open and close down. I mean, for instance, Android. You cannot run the one that has the Google Maps and the Google Wallet and all of that stuff and all those proprietary apps in it. But there is an open source version of Android that you can access and install on your own. So MakerBot may be going that way, and it's unfortunate that there's this protest. That's all. But without knowing MakerBot's side of the story, I don't want to say too much, because maybe it's not closed source. Maybe they just forgot to put the open source out there, but it sounds like it is, in fact, closed source. So I'd like to hear the reasoning behind it and and I'm sure there'll be outreach for that.
It seems like, I mean, MakerBot is going through a real transformation. We've got Brie Pettis on the cover of Wired. They got a new store in New York City that looks really beautiful. It almost looks like an Apple store. They've got this new printer. It's kind of the next generation of 3D printing. And they're lucky enough to have enough talented people who have worked on the project to make it not just a product that works, but the name in 3D printing right now. It does seem strange to me that this team, who's obviously been extremely not only friendly with the open source community, but dependent on them, wouldn't have had a little bit more of a clear statement on this is the way that we're going, and this is why we haven't abandoned you.
Yeah, Lou in the chat room points out that Mint is an open source Linux distribution that it will install closed source stuff like Flash and MP3 codecs straight out of the box. It's another sort of example to go in here. And yeah, I think I mostly want to be really excited about this because even though, and maybe there's a little jealousy about MakerBot getting a lot of the attention when they're not the only ones doing really good 3D printers out there, but they definitely are ahead of the game here. And that Mulberry Street store, like you say, in Manhattan, looks fantastic. I mean, I've been chomping at the bit for 3D printing to hit the mainstream for a long time. So every one of these steps along the way, I get really excited about.
That's why I think if it doesn't stay open source, the thing is you need to keep demand up. And if you want novices to come in, you need to have all of these pre-existing plans. And if people are removing them, that could be like a barrier.
Well, let's not catastrophize. I mean, a few people may remove them, but it's not like Thingiverse is going to be empty overnight. No. Yes.
No.
I mean, there'll still be stuff up there. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's move on to the Roku streaming stick coming soon to a home theater near you.
Yeah, you can use your 3D printer to make the Roku stick bigger if you wanted to, I guess, because it's a tiny little stick that's about the size of a USB thumb drive. Talked about it before. $100 uses that MHL. That's, I think, it's a mobile high definition link interface that turns a dumb TV into a smart TV. So if you want to have a Roku box without the actual box, you could do this with a number of partners. It's got that Wi-Fi direct remote, supposed to save battery life without Bluetooth. It runs Hulu Plus, Netflix, Amazon, all the stuff on Roku. And Roku just announced that they have Vudu coming to Roku 2 HD and LT boxes, and including that streaming stick when it comes out in October. Then, of course, Netgear's got its competing boxes. We talked about the Neo TV, the Pro, the TV Max. There's a great chart showing what the differences are there, $50, $60, and $70. It's September 20th. The difference between the Netgear boxes and the Roku boxes, the Netgear boxes actually have HTML5 capabilities, and the Pro and the Max versions have Intel WiDi. So if your laptop does wireless display from Intel, you could mirror your display without having to need AirPlay or something like that. The Max also has DLNA, so if your camera has DLNA or any device you have, that's a standard that AirPlay pretty much like completely copies entirely. And another box, push to TV, a wireless display that works with WiDi or Miracast. In other words, if you want to get your computer on your TV, Netgear seems to have you covered. I guess with all of these boxes out at this point, okay, we have this chart up right now showing you these are just two competitors.
This is Neo TV's chart.
Yeah, this is from Netgear, and this doesn't even include the full line of Roku boxes out there. But all of these competing streaming boxes, do any of them have everything we want, or is this just turning into like smartphones where it's like there's a billion of these things? They all kind of do something you want. But, I mean, Roku doesn't even have YouTube yet.
Well, not everything we want is available, first of all, right? Can you get HBO Go without having a cable TV subscription?
No.
Can you get all of the shows that you want on Hulu? No, they make you wait 28 days.
Or it's on Hulu Plus.
So, so it starts right there. Or sometimes it's on Hulu but not Hulu Plus, even though you're paying for it, which doesn't make any damn sense. But in the end, none of these boxes even have everything either, right? They're always missing one of the key providers, except for the Nintendo.
To the remote for me.
What's that?
Starts to come down to the remotes for me. I mean, the Roku, Iyaz and I have had this conversation before where I'm like, it looks like a child's toy. And he's like, no, that's good for people who actually have children. But that's a very ugly remote. I like the Netgear's remote, actually. That's the first thing I thought of was like, well, it's better than Roku because they pretty much do everything the same.
Well, I usually just end up chucking the remote entirely for like a Logitech Harmony remote for an all-in-one kind of solution. But I think when it comes to all these boxes, it doesn't matter how they like your point, Tom, you were talking about Nintendo, the TV. It's like, it doesn't matter what content they have if you can't find it. Because if you look at that remote from Netgear, they have 6 dedicated buttons. Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, and a bunch of other ones. You have to remember where your video is and then click the button. And that is just maddening.
I guess they do have the major ones there, though. They have Hulu, they have Netflix, they have Vudu, they have YouTube.
They have Amazon.
I think one's Rhapsody as well.
Yeah.
I feel like having those dedicated buttons, though.
Locks it in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty short-term thinking.
Yes,
Very
it is.
short-term thinking.
You want to add a service?
How long will Vudu be around? I don't know. How long will Hulu Plus stay alive? I don't know. And it just seems... Anyway, I just thought
I
it
think
was
the
weird.
Nintendo TV has the best idea. I want to see it in practice rather than just up on a demo video. But we're going to have a touchscreen that just shows you what you want to watch, and then you can figure out where it is, and you just press play, and it will launch it. And they have all the major services on there.
But isn't that a whole other class then? Because that's like a $300 console. These are under $100 devices.
Well, the Roku streaming stick, $99, and you just plug it into the back of your TV. That's kind of the ideal form factor, right? I don't have a box. I don't have anything cluttering up anything. I just have something that's hidden out of
USB,
way.
yeah.
I guess if you have your TV mounted on the wall and the USB is in the back, that's not going to be very convenient. But hopefully there's a stick on the side. You just have a little dongle hanging up. But you want these things not to be taking up a lot of ugly space in your home entertainment center.
Yeah, but wouldn't you just end up getting a smart television at that point or something that has these things?
Yeah, but the smart
baked in?
television is all built in, right? You can't change the hardware. The Roku streaming stick, once the new streaming stick comes out with better capabilities, I can pull that out and replace it.
A friend of mine wrote on Twitter something about like upgrading the firmware of my television. I guess that's the future. Because, I mean, you could do that. You can add features that way.
Yeah, and it probably lasts for a while.
But the idea that you have to upgrade your TV with the...
Yeah, people upgrade their TVs. You should upgrade your TV if you're having... And I've had to do that. I've had to flash the firmware on an old Mitsubishi DLP that I
Don't
had.
brick your TV.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's take a quick break and thank our other sponsor for today, Gazelle.com. That new iPhone's coming tomorrow, and if you're wanting to go in line and get it, or even if you're just going to wait a couple weeks and buy it, or even if you're like, screw that, I'm going to buy a Windows phone, I'm going to buy an Android phone, you're going to need some cash, and that's why we want to let you know about Gazelle. If you haven't heard us talking about it, it's the fastest and simplest way to get quick cash for your old gadgets. And the nice thing that they do is you don't have to wait until you get your new phone to lock in the price now. Gadgets get less valuable over time. So you want to sell it as soon as possible. Go to Gazelle.com, lock in that price, and you'll be able to keep it for 30 days before you have to get it back to them at that price. So go do it right now. Even if you're not sure if you want to sell it or not, find out how much they're going to offer you. GAZELLE.com. Lock in that quote for 30 days. Once you get your new phone, ship your old one to Gazelle. They'll even pay for the shipping. They'll print out a shipping label. Sometimes they'll even send you a box, and you'll get paid fast within a few days of the item being received. It's risk-free. Offers are good for 30 days, and you can bow out at the end of the time if you want. They've paid almost $50 million to over 300,000 customers. It's so easy. Free shipping, fast processing, iPhone 4, iPhone 3GS, iPhone 4S, whatever you got, old Android phones, check them out. Go to Gazelle.com and lock in that offer now. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today. More stuff to discuss. HP rolling out a bunch of new Windows 8 laptops. These will come out October 26th with Windows 8. And one thing that I found interesting is they're bundling in 200 megabytes of free wireless data service per month from T-Mobile. So it's HSPA Plus. Pretty fast. Not LTE, but it's very fast. On the HP Pavilion DM1 notebook, you also get 25 gigabytes of free storage from Box. That's not the pinnacle, though. That's not the star of their show. The star is the HP MVM4, $899 brushed aluminum laptop with a 14-inch screen. Only 720p display, though, 1366 by 768. But it has some of the HP proprietary software like Protect Smart, protects against drops, Cool Sense, which adjusts the temperature, WiDi, we were just talking about with the Roku built in, Beats Audio on all this stuff. HP always pushing Beats Audio, 3rd-gen Intel Core processors, 8-hour battery life. You can option to have AMD processors, which why you're not going to call this thing an Ultrabook, among other things, and graphics up to 2 gigabytes. They also put out 2 cheaper laptops, also not technically Ultrabooks because they don't have the solid-state drive or the M-SATA cache in there, but a 14-inch sleek book for $499, a 15.6-inch called the 15 for $559, available in black or red, up to a terabyte hard drive in there. full HD display, optional NVIDIA discrete graphics, Intel or AMD processors in there. The Sleepbook's actually at the price. Now, those are the starting prices with all the stuff that's packed in there. Pretty attractive. What do you guys think of these laptops?
I think those resolutions explain why it's so low cost. I mean, like, I think that's why
on the M4.
Right, the M4, it's a really slick-looking notebook, but the thing is, if you're going to downgrade the resolution on the display, you're going to make some compromises. There's some AMD processors in there, so they're not going to be as fast.
Well, you can choose the AMD processor.
Right, so you can get, but the thing is, they start at $899.
Yeah.
So if you're going to start at $899, I'm going to be betting that's the AMD version because Intel charges a ton of money for their chips and all kinds of little stickers and whatever else they charge for. But
the Intel Inside sticker costs a lot of money.
Actually, it saves HP money. But when it comes to these notebooks, HP's been working really hard to try to figure out how to make their line make sense. I was reading this story about Meg Whitman's teams not talking to each other. Power buttons were on the right, one was on the left, one was on the side. This is sort of unifying that a bit, so maybe this becomes a little bit more of a cohesive experience if you go from HP to HP. Their designs I've always thought were pretty nifty. I mean, they have this purple colored one, or I don't know if my display is messed up. It looks like it's
ruby red.
Thank you.
I think
it appears to be
technically the name is
ruby red cranberry or cran apple. I don't know what it is, but it's an interesting take on it. So I'm more interested in the services that they've included than the actual hardware this time.
Yeah, the hardware is decent. The including of the T-Mobile service on the M1 or the DM1 is pretty nifty.
I think that's really interesting. I mean, maybe that's partly why the cost is low. I'm not really sure how much T-Mobile is kicking in to subsidize the price on that. But I think it's. I mean, I'm gonna get a new MacBook Air in a few weeks, and I just wish it had like some kind of LTE or like 3G in it because I know I'm gonna be traveling a lot with it, and having something like that built in, I think it's kind of cool. And I think for traveling businessmen, they would want something that was connected all the time. I think it's a really good
As long as
idea.
you're not trying to Skype from a tire shop,
yeah.
200 megabytes ought to be fine.
Hey, I'm trying, okay? Magic of tech, all right?
No, I'm just saying you'd need more than 200 megabytes built in.
That's true.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Also,
in fact, I feel like I need more than LTE at this point, but
it's actually doing better. It's doing better
shop.
now.
You get the gist.
Yeah.
It's really nice in here.
You need to get a release from that guy now. Great. HP Envy Phoenix H9 gaming desktop also was announced. $899 is where it starts. It has cool red lights inside and lots of room for you to upgrade your hardware, which is always good. 3 hard drive bays, 3rd gen Intel Core processors. You can choose NVIDIA or AMD graphics card, and this includes a solid state drive for boot up, so it should do fast boot and fast application launching. They also announced a bunch of accessories, a bunch of mouses. The one that caught my eye was the HP Touch to Pair mouse with NFC. So near-field communication. If you want to use the mouse, you just touch it to your NFC-capable desktop. Why are you laughing?
Oh, because we always talk about the NFC thing. It's like, I just the other day I saw somebody, I don't know where I was, but they were looking at 2 devices and they wouldn't talk to each other. And they're like, you're near each other. And it's not just me. It was another person going, why aren't you seeing each other? And if you could just have the mouse tap. It's like, you're right there. It's like, why not work? Yeah. Hopefully it works nicely because it's HP products together. I don't know.
That's coming in November for $39. All right, let's move on to AT&T's Randall L. Stevenson speaking out about texting at the wheel. Sarah, you were digging into this story. Randall Stevenson said in an interview a few years ago someone close to him caused an accident while texting, and now people tell him their stories. He's helping AT&T get behind the campaign to stop people texting while driving. But what was interesting here is AT&T still opposes using laws to curb driver distraction. They think National Safety Council and public outreach and for instance, as we mentioned, AT&T making their app available for free, the Drive Mode app for Android and BlackBerry starting September 30th that automatically disables texting when your phone goes more than 25 miles per hour. They want to do that kind of outreach, whereas Verizon supports state and federal legislation to ban texting by drivers. It's an interesting approach. It's not just, well, you're in the business to make money, so your path is this way, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Mr. Stevenson, in fact, speaking to a group of investors today, started off his whole speech with, don't text and drive. I've had people close to me that have, gotten in accidents. Since that happened, I've had people come up to me and tell me these horrible stories. It really means not only something to me personally, but something to AT&T as a company. They've got the campaign called It Can Wait. In fact, I've been seeing people tweet about it, even over the last couple of months, more than ever, which is designed to just raise awareness that texting and driving is not only dangerous, but it's wrong. You shouldn't do it. It's illegal in 39 states. And the reason that it's illegal is because research studies have shown that you're so distracted. And this is not even texting. I mean, this is just using your phone, looking at your phone screen. Pretty much anything besides hands-free or plugging in your headphones and talking is sometimes more dangerous than driving while intoxicated. So if I'm texting on the freeway, I'm putting myself and others in potentially more harm than if my blood alcohol content was over 0.08, which is the legal limit in the state of California. So when I hear stuff like that, I think, AT&T, this is all fine and good, and awareness is good, and peer pressure is good as far as using your phone, using your smartphone and texting while driving being an unacceptable activity. But when we're talking about people being in accidents, and maybe I'm a little super sensitive right now because I was almost in a horrible accident when my tire blew out when I was in the fast lane going 75 miles an hour.
Sure.
Just a short hour ago. But this is dangerous stuff. And I see people on the same freeway that I just got off of texting all the time. On a daily basis, someone's weaving. And yeah, when you're behind them, you go, are they drunk? They're probably not drunk because it's only 9:30 in the morning. They're probably on their phones. And as I pass them, I look over and it's true. And when we're talking about life or death situations, because that's exactly what this is, I think there should be legislative action. I don't think awareness and cute PSA commercials that are somewhat easy to ignore are enough. And I'm not exactly sure why Randall Stevenson, who's the head of AT&T, doesn't agree with Verizon that more laws should be in place to punish people who don't follow these rules.
Well, some of these laws seem like the seatbelt law, right? I mean, it's illegal to drive without a seatbelt. But the reason for that is because that means people can get ticketed for it, really. Because if you're not going to care about your own personal safety, the government might as well make money on you. That's the weird thing, what's going on here. Because if AT&T says we don't want laws against it, that doesn't really make a difference. Because if you're not valuing your life when you're texting, no amount of law or PSA is going to make you change that. So the reason for these laws, for the most part, is just to pad coffers.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know about that. The safety belt law has actually caused people to wear seatbelts, whether they believe in it or not. I remember when Illinois put their safety belt law in place, and I remember a lot of people saying, this is government intervention. If I want to be stupid and fly through my window, I should be allowed to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you know what? Everybody, at least in the front seats of cars, wears their seatbelt now. It's just a habit. And that's what the National Safety Council is saying is, look, public outreach and PSAs only go so far. People can nod and agree and be shocked and stunned by the images they see, and it just doesn't change behavior when you step back sociologically. Passing a law where people think, well, I would text, but I don't want to get caught and have to pay a fine, makes people change behavior. So yeah, does it raise money through tickets? Maybe, but I don't think that texting while driving is a law that they put in place to raise money, because I don't see it enforced as often. And it's speed limits are the law that is used to raise money, not safety belts or texting while driving, in my opinion. So I think you probably, if you just look at from a pure practical, I want to change the behavior of a populace, you do need to have a law. You do need to have some penalty on that. But it becomes a philosophical conversation at that point of whether that's the government's job to stop people from doing something stupid. With seatbelts, it was more of a like, well, who am I harming if I don't have a seatbelt on? With texting while driving, you can definitely harm someone else. This is all into the theory of why you have a license to drive a car. And I believe me, Sarah, I know what you're talking about. I see people weaving all over the road these days. And it used to be you'd see somebody weaving. It was a weird thing. And you think, wow, is that guy drunk? And now you don't. You immediately think, oh, they're on the phone. You know, they're using their phone for something.
Yeah, rainbows and ponies and let's all stop texting and driving, that's all fine and good. But if you don't, I want you penalized because I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, I don't want some guy weaving in front of me or, you know, and causing me to take a aversive action that then actually could cause some kind of other wreck or some kind of other danger.
I wonder if Stevenson's afraid of the laws continuing, then going off into the wireless carriers saying, listen, you have to stop your phones from being able to do this.
Slippery slope.
Once you start creating behavioral changes with laws, you can continue doing that forever, including telling AT&T, by the way, you're going to disable texting on every one of your phones but that's just a speculative idea.
Really quick, the nice man who is helping me get new tires, David, just came up to me with a little note. He's listening to our conversation, at least part of it. My side of it says, I was rear-ended last May because of someone on the phone and texting totaled my truck.
Wow.
Works at a tire shop, people.
Thank goodness.
If tire peoples are on my side, then we need laws.
Thank goodness he's okay. All right.
Yes, no, he's good.
You heard it here first. Sarah Lane against Ponies and Rainbows. Let's move on.
That's right.
To Android, and Matthias Duarte at Google saying it's only about a third of where they want it to be.
Yeah, Duarte was responding on Google+. There was a post that somebody linked to. The piece is called "Stock Android Isn't Perfect. These are the things I can't stand about Jelly Bean." And in the Google+ post, the person was complaining, but pretty much echoing some of these same statements. The post talks about inconsistent usages of the back button, inconsistent navigation menus. Some are still from Gingerbread, even on Jelly Bean at this point. Icons are launching the wrong apps, and the icon sizes apparently are very different sized all over the place, and this is apparently driving people a little nutty. Duarte came from Palm way back in 2010. So in 2010, he moved to Google, and he's been in charge of the look and feel of Android, saying that it's about a third of the way, quote, about a third of the way to where I want to be. So if Android's only a third done, and Duarte, I mean, we've seen what it did with Palm OS, and he had this pretty great idea. I was watching the video, seeing how they had the cards interface, and a lot of these things have made their way over to Android. If Android's only a third of the way done, what do you think we're going to see next time?
I think he's being too hard. I've been using Jelly Bean a lot on the Nexus 7. I feel it's more than halfway done. Like there are definitely bugs with it, and things that I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work quite right. But it's definitely along the way. So it heartens me that he's like, no, we want to make it better. We want to make it smoother. We want to have a consistent design language. The question is, how do you do that in an open operating system where everybody is allowed to go and put on TouchWiz and Moto Blur and whatever else they? I mean, you've dealt with this for a long time, Nicole.
Yeah, everyone. I think the general consensus in the Android world is that the stock experience is always better, just because it's faster, you get updates much quicker, and so on and so forth. All the other ones like TouchWiz and Moto Blur, they clutter up the screen with like their own proprietary stuff. It slows things down substantially. I do agree, though, there are some things with Android that just needs to be improved, like the whole back button thing, which has annoyed me forever.
Yeah, that's been a consistent issue for sure.
Just because I don't know where this goes. Does this go to the previous app? Does this go to the home screen? It is a little bit confusing.
I just sort of, when in doubt, hit the back button. Figure like, must be the back button.
I'll
I can't
figure it
out
out.
any other way.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you hit the back button, and I'd say about 75, for me, I feel like 75% of the time it does what I expect it's going to do.
Right.
But there's that one time where it's like, why did it just take me to that
goes
app?
Somewhere else.
It's like Android, and this is totally, a narrow part of the complaints here, but it's like Android has nested actions that, depending on where you come from, take you to other places. So the back's going to take you to that nested action that came before it and not the thing before in whatever app. I don't know. I read through this Android Police article, and I agree with so many of these points. It's a huge article, and there's a lot of points, but a lot of it's kind of a little micro and nitpicky in certain ways. When I think about it, I'm like, yes, there are issues. Certainly, there are inconsistencies in Jelly Bean, but for the most part, they aren't things that make me say, man, I hate using this. Like, it's come a long way since I started using Android with the Motorola Droid. It's come so far. I appreciate where it's at now. Of course, I think every OS has things that it needs to iron out.
Some of the inconsistencies don't even come from the Android OS itself. It's Google having, like this complaint. Google makes 1 million texting apps. It's got messaging, messenger, talk, voice.
Yeah.
They all have similar icons. That's the other thing. So it's kind of hard to find which one is which.
Yeah, you keep waiting for them to get folded into each other somehow.
It's because Google is so accepting of every single format. You can message, you can do all of these beautiful, wonderful options on your Android phone. They just have to figure out a way to Make it more streamlined and easy to use.
Like this one, for example, no two icons are the same size.
That doesn't bother me.
And the dock,
that
it drives
doesn't
me
really
crazy.
bother me. I can understand it like within Google, like maybe they should, and that's what we're seeing here. But by and large, icon sizes are going to be a maximum size no matter what for everybody. So your icons are always going to kind of
Could you
float
scroll
around.
down
I
to
guess
the
in
dock?
iOS is different, right?
Scroll down. There's an image of the dock, and these are the default icons. They don't line up.
Yeah.
Now, this has been driving me crazy in my Nexus 7.
Doesn't bother me a bit.
Is that the default icon on the Nexus 7?
Those are default icons.
Yeah.
That's the Play Store, and that's latitude.
Again, it's all
maps.
about design sense versus Philistines, and I'm a Philistine. We have that thing on the fridge in there. It says, "Here's how to drive your design friends crazy," and it's all kerned wrong. And
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah.
I
didn't even notice the joke. It took me a while to be like, "What?" Oh, I get it. So yeah, it's funny. And what Matthias Duarte is saying is he's a design nerd,
Yeah.
right? And so this stuff bothers him too.
Right, that's the thing. With Palm OS, WebOS, it was really, really tight, and it was clean. And Android is like this kind of, it's been adding features so much that it's still trying to clean up what it didn't do so well in the very beginning. So
Yeah.
it's getting there.
That's a great
Really
way to
getting
put
there.
it. And honestly, like when I read what Matthias Duarte is saying, I actually feel very good because there's a lot of effort and a lot of passion behind the experience, and they've
think
done
it's a
great
good thing,
things.
right.
We have a lot more good things to look forward
This
to.
means that it'll probably be improved since he's notices all these things that needs to be improved.
At least they don't think that nothing's wrong with it.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. I think this is all positive, really.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the randomizer.
Randomizer.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the Tabby Awards. And no, Sarah, I'm sorry, this isn't awards for Tabby Cats, but it's almost as good. It's awards for the best apps for tablets. Yeah?
I'm into it. Yeah. What are they?
Well, they haven't been awarded yet, but for the very first time, the best apps for iPad, Android, and Windows tablets will be judged for their outstanding tablet-specific features and will be announced at a tablet industry event in New York City on November 27th, 2012, called Tablet Biz Conference and Expo.
I hope
How many categories are going to be in the Windows apps? Because there aren't, that many. Maybe they'll all win.
That's right.
If you want to be an award-winning Windows 8 app, you can do it right now.
Well, there are 14 categories.
Just make one.
I don't think
We'll
it's
win.
judged. I don't think it's separated by platform. It's just Windows apps get to enter, and there's 14 categories, including productivity, communication, collaboration, IT, business tool, healthcare, retail sales, and more.
Oh, so it's
Well,
not
what about an app
platform?
like that has Windows app, an Android app, and an iOS app. Is
Yeah.
it competing against itself?
Well, I think you would just submit your app and say it's available on these platforms.
I see.
Here's my app. I
Or
want
you
my app to win
submit
an
the
award.
best version of your app,
Well, it's like
whichever
TNT.
platform
We
it
submit
runs best
an
on.
episode, an example episode. Maybe they just pick one.
But I hope they're really, really picky about this. I don't want to see big, phone apps in here. That's one of the big complaints I have. I'm using a tablet. I want to get a different experience when I'm using a phone, a different experience when I'm using a laptop. I want to have a reason to use this device. And
Well, this is tablet, so it should work well on a tablet.
I'm
It's a
hoping,
really good
not just
point.
work well, but I hope it's built for a tablet. Not like, we blew up Twitter.
That's not going to win.
Better not.
2xing will win.
Never.
Two Xing will never win.
All right, Sarah, do you want to try doing the calendar?
Very nice response.
What was that?
Yeah, I can do the calendar. I'm just going to look a little frozen, so bear with me, please. Hopefully it froze on a really beautiful picture of me.
It's wonderful.
Happy 10th, happy 10th birthday to Firefly. This is the show that I have never seen, and neither has Iyaz, so everyone get off my back. I'm not the only one.
I'm with you.
And Tom, it was 10 short years ago.
You've
that
had
you
10 years.
left-
Come on, watch it already.
Spoiler.
Gosh, I'm still getting through Downton Abbey season 2. Give me a break. Rizzo and Duong are scheduled to demonstrate crime at the Echo Party Security Conference in Buenos Aires tomorrow. That's September 21st. Also tomorrow, you might be getting an iPhone 5 if you either pre-ordered early enough, as in midnight, or are waiting in line early enough tomorrow, or have somebody from TaskRabbit to wait in line for you. Finally, Simple.tv's DVR for the iPhone, the iPad, and Roku is shipping September 27th. It's going to come in at $149.
Nice. And I've got one. Hopefully mine ships at the same time because I backed the Kickstarter. So if you back the Kickstarter, you should be expecting it soon as well. Let's see what's incoming.
Incoming message.
Richard Gunther, good old friend of the Buzz Out Loud show, as well as Tech News Today, writes in, says, I just watched the movie you referenced that was filmed through Google Glass. While there were some intentional edits that added to the jarring motion, I completely agree that watching that full screen was too much to take, even for the few seconds that they showed continuous motion. It was particularly bad as the women were walking down the runway. It is interesting to see just how much movement your eyes and brain have learned how to compensate for while walking or making basic movements. In any event, if this is what recording experience is going to be like with Google Glass, they may want to look into some optical image stabilization.
It's going to make the glasses a little larger, right? If it's going to be
It's
like...
going to have a gimbal on it, yeah.
Another email from Fez. While not the only factor internationally, the reason for the diverse release dates in North America for the PlayStation 3 is because they're being bundled with specific games. The US 250 gig model comes out first because it comes with Uncharted 3, a game that is already out. The 500 gig model will be released on October 30th because it comes with Assassin's Creed 3, which comes out on, you guessed it, October 30th. To my knowledge, both colors will come out simultaneously. This bundling also makes up to some degree for the prices, since both games are still full-price releases. I see no reason for the staggered launches elsewhere, but I would assume it's for marketing reasons, not manufacturing ones.
Oh, I'm sure it's always marketing reasons. In fact, these bundles are marketing reasons as well. But that's cool stuff. Thanks, Fez, for sharing the info. Appreciate that. All right, well, that's it for this episode of Tech News Today. Sarah, thank the tire shop for us.
I certainly will. In fact, I see that my car is done.
Nice. Good timing.
Yeah, I got only one flat tire, but they convinced me to buy two. So a lot of money spent this morning. Hey, not every Thursday can be this eventful.
No.
I'm afraid not.
Oh, well.
I'm afraid not. But yeah, as soon as we finish this show, I'm going to get back on the road and I'll be in the studio shortly.
All right, we'll see you then. Nicole Lee, formerly of TWiT, but
well, I'm
now
still for the next 24 hours.
So 24. So Nicole Lee, currently of TWiT, but soon to be of Engadget. Congratulations on the new gig.
Oh, thank you.
We're very excited and excited for Tim Stevens to have you. Be working with a good group of folks over there. Thank you for joining us today as well. And thank you all for joining us on our subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com, place to go to submit stories, vote them up or down. Appreciate all the folks who get in there and share their ideas with us and the moderators who keep it working well. That's it for us. You can find us on the web, twit.tv/TNT. You can email us. Our email address is tnt@twit.tv, and you can give us a call and leave us a voicemail. Our number is 260-TNT-SHOW. It's Friday tomorrow. I'll be from home waiting for my new iPhone, but Darren Kitchen will be here in the studio. We'll see you then.